China versus America tariff war. I want to look at that and I want you to think carefully with me and be a part of the journey that I'm going to be taking you to understand what is really going on. America is making an error in trying to play a tariff war with China. Americans seem not to understand that the Chinese the Chinese existed long before investing and having access to the American economy. And they were doing very well. They have been building themselves for years. To understand clearly what I'm saying, an individual who has little or no food and built himself or herself up to the point where he has millions and did it without your help. If you were to cut off, that person can continue surviving without you because the persons understand whatever strategy was used to get them where they are can continue. And all you're going to do is let them refocus, rechannel their efforts and energy into something else. And I think it's something that the Americans doesn't seem to understand. So putting tariffs on the products in America, all the Chinese are going to do is to switch from the American market to another market or to other markets because they have existed and survived years. During the Cold War, they existed without you, build themselves without your help, and therefore they are able to do the same without much batting of an eyelid. So it's a war that America just cannot win because I don't think America really understands that war in the sense that they existed years, centuries without your help, and they have been building their economy in a capitalist frame, in a socialist framework, communist framework for years, and they have done well in the process. No, the Americans are going to say, no, that we can stop them from advancing, stop them from doing what? What are you stopping them from doing? You make your prices more expensive to the Chinese, and a number of things that are being produced around the world are done by the Chinese. So if the Americans are to say, listen, we're not going to be trading with the Chinese, are Americans willing to pay the price for that? No investment. And I want you to think about it. Are the Americans willing to go into factories and work? Are the Americans willing to do what it takes to get the factories and all of those things? The Americans have now built themselves on other people's back. So they're going to want people to heavy lifting and then they actually put the cherry on top. And that is a challenge that America is going to face. They have exist for years by using other people's sweat, tears, and hard work to make themselves. They have not really put in the work from the beginning to the end, unlike the Chinese or unlike many of the black nations. They have built the American economy on the backs and work and sweat and tears of others. The American need to understand that. And any society that is built like that, or any individual who is built like that, is going to have a problem when the person withdraws from you. It's a war that is always going to happen is increase the products, the price of the products in America. Starve the American economy from needed outputs and needed products because they do not want to start from scratch. A lazy man will never be comfortable working. And the American economy is like that. It has a lazy man syndrome where they build their products on the hard work of others. A number of persons may not actually want to look at it, but they have done so for years. And we need to sort of think about what has been happening. This trade tariff war is going to expose the American economy for what it really is. It builds on the backs of others. The Americans get a product from someone and builds on it. The Chinese have not built the economy like that. They have built it from the idea to the end product. And the Americans do not seem to understand that. Where Mr. Trump maybe really wants to re-energize the American economy and to reshape the American economy, and I understand why he'd want to do so, because the American economy is built on a fictitious base. And maybe what he wants to do is to change that approach. But what I will advise him to do is start the work before you begin the war. Because this trade war is not going to end well for the Americans. And any other country for that matter that builds on others are going to have a problem. And that's where Jamaica is heading as well. Jamaica is working with a system where we are building on the building blocks and ideas of others. That economy is not sustainable. Such a system will not work indefinitely, except you become a slave or a puppet for a system. America has been playing people for years. And because they've been playing people for years, people have not recognized what is happening. And if people decide to work on your own and withdraw from the Americans, all the Americans are going to do is to try to play you using psychological war tactic. But the economy is not built on production from the base to the top. It is not. It is built on other person's products, other person's ideas. What they have done, as I said before, is to put the cherry on top. And it's a trade war, Mr. Trump, that you cannot win. But as I said before, understand what you're doing, though, Mr. Trump. You are trying to restructure, reshape the American economy from building on the backs of others to relying on yourself. But where you are, it cannot be done like this, Mr. Trump. I'm taking this now to what is happening in Jamaica. Jamaica is building on the backs of other societies. We rarely see factories in Jamaica that are producing things. And that is going to be the challenge. Because it means you're building an economy on the backs of others. And if there's an issue with you and the others, there's going to be a fundamental challenge that you're unable to win if you so desire to do that. It's something you need to understand clearly, ladies and gentlemen. And any individual who is actually operating like that in life, building on others' backs, will not succeed, because whatever you're doing must begin from the ground up, and I literally the ground up. It cannot be built from an inch above the ground, because the difference between the inch from the ground and where you start building is where the foundation is. And if that foundation is taken away from you, your entire system crumbles. A number of persons want to build on the backs of others. And this does not necessarily go out to any gender areas in Jamaica or any gender era in the world. And I'm using the America tariff war to emphasize my point that if you begin to build an inch above from the ground, whosoever builds from in the ground to give you that inch is your master. But you need to understand clearly, ladies and gentlemen. That should also obtain for your personal lives as well. If you're going to be building from above the ground, the person who builds from within the ground to where you are is going to be your master for life. And you have no control over what obtains in the future, because the person controls your destiny. It's happening in America, it's happening in Jamaica, it's happening in many people's lives. And it's a part of the issue that we're having. You cannot win that trade war, America, and anyone who builds above the ground and not have the link between the ground and where they begin to build is going to be owned by the next person who builds. Let me hear your thoughts. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I continue to provide you with trusted information for you to use to make decisions.